Welcome back to my channel Lomzy Sews. In today's sewing tutorial, I will show you how to cut this princess dart blouse, and I'm going to make it very simple for everybody to understand, and I'm using a very simple method that is good for beginners. In my previous video, I shared how to cut and sew the skirt. It's a simple skirt with pleated vent. I explained that in detail. I will drop that in the description section. Also, how to cut this peplum flare is a 1080-degree peplum flare, so I'm going to share that in the description section. My client sent in this picture you're seeing on the screen right now, and I decided I'm going to share the tutorial with you guys. So in this video, we're going to learn how to cut the princess dart, and in the next video we will cut and sew it. I'll be cutting this on a pattern paper, and then later I transfer to my main fabric. So here I'm going to draw the horizontal lines. So first I'm going to get the shoulder to the armhole. So this is the shoulder line. So from this shoulder line, I'm going to come down to the armhole length. So whatever your armhole length, you input that here. I will show you the simplest way to calculate your armhole length. So here I have my armhole length. I'm just going to draw that out like this, and also go down from the shoulder line down to the waistline. Remember, this bustier, this princess that top stops on the waistline, so I'm just going to stop at the waistline and I'm rule that line out. I'll go ahead and use my marker to make this visible so that you'll be able to see what I'm doing. So this is the shoulder line, the armhole line, and then the waistline. I'll show you how to calculate the armhole length, the easiest way to do that. So you're going to divide your bust divided by 6 plus 1.5 plus your shoulder sloping. So whatever your shoulder sloping is, add that to this. So this is the easiest way to get your armhole length for beginners. I didn't know my phone was not recording, so I'll show you what I did. I took the neck depth, which is 2.75, and marked it here, and then the shoulder width, you're going to divide your shoulder divided by 2. So you're going to take from one end of the shoulder to the other, and you input that here, and you're going to square it down to the armhole line, as you can see what I've done. Next is to come down with 1 inch for shoulder sloping. You go ahead and connect this like this. Starting with the bust measurement. So guys, you have to pay attention to this. This method works for all sizes. So what you're going to do now, first we're going to calculate before we input here. So the first thing you're going to do is to divide your bust divided by 2. So let's say my bust is 44. I divide that by 2. I will have 22 inches. You're going to add 3 inches to this. If your bust is bigger, you can make it 4. But if your bust is a normal bust, add 3 inches. This is for bust allocation. So whatever you get, this will give you 25 inches. You're going to divide this by 2, which will give us 12.5. So this is what we're going to be using for the bust circumference. Guys, like I said, this is constant, but if your bust is bigger, if you have a very big bust, you can make this to be 4 inches. If you have a tiny bust, you can make this to be 2 inches. This is for bust allocation. So I'm going to place this 12.5 on this place. The waist circumference. For us to get that, we are also going to calculate. So what you will do is waist divided by 4 plus 0.5 for ease and 2.5 inches for that. So my waist is 34 inches. Divide that by 4. I will have 8.5. So 8.5 plus 0.54 is, which will make it 9 inches. And you're going to add 2.5 for that, which would make it 11.5. So for our waistline, we are going to impute 11.5 here. To draw the side seam, I'm going to connect the waistline to the bust line like so. So I have my side seam. Next is for us to draw the armhole curve. For us to do that, you're going to divide whatever you have from the shoulder line to the armhole. You divide that by 2 and you mark it. This will be a guide for us. So temporarily, I'm going to mark a curve here. So just mark this curve. This will not be the final curve, so I'm just going to use my pencil to do this. Next is for us to draw the bust point. For you to do that, you're going to divide your bust span divided by 2. So how to get your bust span is to measure from one side of the nipple to the other. Whatever you have, divide that by 2. I'm going to mark that here and square it out. I'm just going to use my pencil to square it out because I don't want this line to be visible now. So from here, I'm going to come down 1 inch for my nipple point, for my bust point, sorry. So now remember, this armhole line is the same thing as the chest line, right? So you come down from your chest line 1 inch for your bust point. So next thing I'm going to mark is my under bust line. I will do 14.5. This is normal, but if you want it to be a push up, you go up by at least like ½ inch. So I'm going to square this line out. I'll also use my pencil because I don't want this line to be visible. So next thing I'm going to do is to do the waist dart, also known as bust tightening. So on this side, I'm going to come in 1 inch towards the center line, and I'm going to square that line straight down to the waistline. So here I can actually use my marker because this is a line I'm going to use. And then on the same under bust line, on the side seam, I'm going to come 1.5. So meaning that we have taken 2.5 inches for that in a hole. So I'll go ahead and square this down straight to the waistline. So next thing I'm to do now is to make a curve. So you're going to place with your curve ruler like this. You're going to place your curve ruler this way, and you're going to mark the curve like that. If you don't have a straight ruler, you can use your eye to eyeball it, and but don't make it too sharp or don't make it too flat. So I will also use this to draw for the side seam. Next is for us to mark the princess dart line. So on the center line like this, I'm going to connect this to make the princess dart line. First, I'm using pencil to do this so that because this will not be my final line. So I'm going to make a 1 inch dart on that princess dart line. You mark ½ inch on each side. You're going to connect this to the bust point. I'm using my pencil so that later I'll be able to use my marker because I don't want this line to be visible now. Next is for you to true the dart legs. If you don't do this, your dart legs will not be properly placed when you're sewing it. So you're going to measure from the line, the upper one, the longer one. You're going to take the measurement, whatever that is. You're going to place it on the other side of the dart and make sure the line is equal with the other one. I hope you can see what I'm doing. So just make sure you follow the same thing I'm doing, and you're going to mark it there, and you're going to connect this to the dart leg. That way you're elongating the dart leg. So you're just going to go ahead and connect this properly to the armhole line like this. Now I have my final line, so I'll just go ahead and use my marker to mark this. So at this point, you go ahead and curve out your panel so that you don't have unnecessary curved lines like that. So smoothing this line out. Next is for me to mark the neckline. I'm using this to cut out both the back and the front. So first I'm going to come down 3.5 for the neckline, the front neckline, and connect it to the shoulder line like this. And I will also come down 1 inch for the back neckline and also connect it to the shoulder line. You can use your curve ruler to curve this line so that your hand is straight. So next I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. Remember I told you I'll be using this to cut out the back. So I'm going to trace off everything. To cut the back, I'm going to place this like this, closing the dart. You see the way I'm placing this? That's the way I'm going to place it and trace out like this for me to get the back. So I'm going to place this on my pattern paper. Remember the back line is on fold, so that's why I placed it there. I didn't add any zipper allowance. So I'm going to align this here like this, trace off all the silhouettes that you're seeing me do: the side seam, the shoulder line, the neckline, and the armhole. You will see what I'm going to do, so just keep watching. So now I'm going to mark a new armhole curve for the back, connecting it to the side seam and the shoulder line. I'll go ahead and use my marker to draw these things out so that you see what I'm doing. So you connect a new armhole like that, and also I'm just drawing out these lines so that you see what I have marked out. So I'll go ahead and add sewing allowance to this. Remember, this is on fold, the center back is on fold, we don't have a zip at the back. I'm going to add ½ inch sewing allowance and 1 inch on the side. And also for the front, I'll go ahead and cut out the neckline. So for the back pattern, for the front pattern, you're going to add zipper allowance here. Remember, there's a zip in front, and on the shoulder, on the all these places, you're going to add ½ inch, and by the side seam you're going to add 1 inch on the side seam for your hemming allowance, or if you want to add more. So guys, we have come to the end of today's sewing tutorial. In my next video, we are going to sew this. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.